I love running in Vancouver. The past couple nights while I've been here, I headed out after work to the seawall and I did a 6-mile loop around the water. Through apartment complexes situated along the coastline, past park areas that are overloaded during the brief times during the summer when the weather actually gets warm, and with views the entire time that are take your breath away amazing. One of the things I noticed the first time that I came up here to work a few months ago were these incredible rock formations along the rocky shoreline. Rocks that were stacked up on one another on top of a boulder, balanced so pristinely that they seemed to deny the certainty of the law of gravity. It was hard to focus on the path as I was running because each of the rock formations was physics-defying and also unique in incredible ways. And when I considered that each one of those rock formations occurred by random, unaided chance over billions of years, it was nothing short of baffling. I mean, we all know that given enough time, the right circumstances, and trial and error, rocks will eventually adapt to their environment, and the beneficial surroundings that just haphazardly occur will allow rocks simply to settle upon one another in a balanced stack. Okay, of course I'm being facetious. I don't think any reasonable person would look at rock formations along the seawall in Vancouver as uncaused. I think we all would realize that rocks stacked in such an amazing and artistic way are purposely created by someone with vision, intelligence, a plan, and materials well suited for the job. No less certainly than when we visit Mount Rushmore. It's obvious to any observer that the mountain just didn't evolve over time to include the faces of Presidents Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln. Look, I'm not trying to be snarky, but I was moved by those rock formations to these reflections, especially after reading this week through my daily reading. And in particular, when I sorted out, and I sort of camped out, I guess I should say, on Isaiah 40, verses 12 through 15 and 26. And here's what they say. Who else has held the Elshins in his hand? Who's measured off the heavens with his fingers? Who else knows the weight of the world, or has weighed the mountains and hills on a scale? Who is able to advise the Spirit of the Lord? Who knows enough to give him advice or to teach him? Has the Lord ever needed anyone's advice? Does he need instruction about what is good? Did someone teach him what is right or show him the path of justice? No, for all the nations of the world are but a drop in the bucket. They're nothing more than dust on the scales. He picks up the whole earth as though it were a grain of sand. Look up to the heavens. Who created all the stars? He brings them out like an army, one after another, calling each by its name. And because of his great power and incomparable strength, not a single one is missing. Looking at those rock formations reminded me how we as people can attribute more power to the creation than to the Creator. We look around the planet we live on and pay homage to the things that we see. Now, don't get me wrong. When I run down the seawall in Vancouver, or even when I'm on my long but beautiful commute to work along the California coast each day, I can't help but marvel in the exquisite beauty of what my eyes get to behold. And that's sort of the point. That is, God provides more than ample evidence of who he is, and yet some of us can carelessly look past it, and some of us outright deny it and him. The evidence is in everything we can behold, just like the rock art in Vancouver that no reasonable, rational person would say happened by random chance with no help from an intelligence. Isn't it logical to conclude the same thing about the approximately 100 billion stars just in our Milky Way galaxy and the 100 billion galaxies in the known universe? Let's face it, a star, let alone the 1 times 10 to the 24th power stars estimated to be in the universe. Frankly, the evidence is us, how unique we all are, how complex our bodies are. And yet there are some of us that would have us believe that we are an accident. We occurred out of the same ooze and sludge that everything else on Earth was. Fortunate circumstances happened to some amoeba-filled mud over billions of years, and you and I slithered out. Oh yeah, somewhere along the way we figured out that we needed legs and grew them, even though legs were never a thing before that time. Really? Pastor Chuck Smith used to tell a story to describe how a spider would have evolved over hundreds of millions of years. How they would have not yet been an actual spider, I guess, in the way that we know them. They would have been a hungry insect, hungry because they weren't a particularly successful hunter. So somewhere along the way, spiders, without intelligence, knowledge, design capabilities, or any other help, randomly figured out that they needed to create a web, setting aside for the moment that no such thing had ever existed before. So somehow a spider figured out over millions of years how to create a substance in its body to secrete the stuff to make a web. Brilliant! Only problem is, as a spider laid in wait to catch its food with its brilliant yet accidental invention, the food flew into its web and boing! It bounced right off. So over millions of more years, the spider said, aha, I know, I'll make the web sticky. Interestingly, the spider figured out, without intelligence, knowledge, design capabilities, or any other help, how to make the substance in its body that was secreted to make a web sticky. Brilliant! Only problem is, as the spider laid in wait with its ingenious yet accidental improvement, the food flew into the web and stuck. Brilliant again! Unfortunately, however, while the food stuck to the web, so did the spider. It couldn't reach its food. Curses! But fear not. Eventually, our spider hero figured out over millions of years, without intelligence, knowledge, design capabilities, or any other help, how to make the substance in its body that was secreted to make a web, and a web that was sticky, not to be sticky to the spider. Brilliant! Trouble is, over those millions and millions of years of trial and error and failure, spiders would have ceased to exist. So here's the point. To me, it makes no logical sense to look at all that is created within and around us. Frankly, to look at us and assume that it happened essentially accidentally. Rather, it points to a creator who took the time to fashion it all with pristine design, balance, forethought, intelligence, and here's the best part, love. The God that created all of the universe and the crazy amount of stars and planets and everything in it, the power that was able to speak all of that into existence, also created you and me. He cared enough in all of his creation not to forget to make you and me. Why? Love. He cares about us so much that he didn't want to live without us. All that creative power is also available to us to care and provide for our needs, to offer us the best life possible, and crucially, to save us from our sins. Now that's brilliant. When we consider all of creation, we have to wonder, did all of that happen essentially by accident over billions and billions of years, or did a designer craft it? Tell you what, maybe you should head to Vancouver sometime and check out the rock art and then give me your answer. To that I say, Soli Deo Gloria. God bless until next time.